Gluten has become the hot topic of the food world, always in the spotlight, controversial, and everyone has an opinion on it. Some treat it like a dietary supervillain, blaming it for everything from bloating to horrible trips to the bathroom, while others shrug it off as harmless. So what's the deal with gluten? Is it really the evil mastermind behind your muffin top, or just an innocent bystander? Let's get into this gluten mystery with a balanced, evidence-based perspective. Think of us as the Sherlock Holmes of dietary dilemmas, minus the magnifying glass and the deerstalker hat. First things first, what exactly is gluten? Gluten is actually a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. Imagine gluten as the glue that holds your bread together, making it chewy and delicious. Without it, your bread would be as appealing as a deflated balloon. But why has gluten been cast as the dietary villain of our times? Well, for those with celiac disease, which is about 1% of the population, gluten is indeed a nemesis. Their immune system goes into overdrive, attacking the small intestine when gluten is ingested. It's like their body's own personal Game of Thrones, but with fewer dragons and more digestive issues. Gluten is like that friend who's great in small doses, but a nightmare when overstaying their welcome. For most people, it's harmless. You munch on a sandwich, maybe enjoy a slice of cake, and life is good. But for some, gluten can turn into a real troublemaker. We're talking about three main trouble zones here: celiac disease, non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and wheat allergy. First up, let's meet celiac disease, the drama king of gluten issues. Your immune system is like a security team at a club. Normally they are chill, letting the good guys in and keeping the bad guys out. But in celiac disease, the immune system mistakes gluten for a dangerous intruder. It sounds the alarm, and chaos begins. Your body goes into full-on attack mode, damaging the lining of your small intestine. Not cool, right? This is not just a minor inconvenience. This condition can lead to a whole host of problems, from digestive issues to nutrient deficiencies. It is like your body throwing a tantrum every time you eat gluten. If you have got celiac, even a crumb of bread can feel like a full-scale invasion, and the only way to keep the peace is to avoid gluten entirely. Yes, that means saying goodbye to pizza crusts and regular pastries. But there are always gluten-free options out there. Next on the guest list is non-celiac gluten sensitivity, the enigma of the gluten world. These people don't have celiac disease, and they're not allergic to wheat, but gluten still makes them feel lousy. It's like that mysterious rash you get every now and then. You're not sure where it came from or why it's there. People with non-celiac gluten sensitivity can experience symptoms similar to celiac disease, such as bloating, stomach pain, and brain fog. However, there's no damage to the intestines. It's like your body saying, "I don't like this, but I won't make a scene." The tricky part is diagnosing it because there's no specific test for non-celiac gluten sensitivity. It's more about ruling out other conditions and keeping a food diary. So if gluten makes you feel off but your tests come back normal, you might be dealing with non-celiac gluten sensitivity. The good news is that you do not have to go completely gluten-free. Just cut back and see how you feel. Finally, we have wheat allergy, the party pooper. This one's a bit different because it's an actual allergic reaction to proteins in wheat, including gluten. Think of it as that one person who's allergic to cats. Even being in the same room as one can cause a reaction. With wheat allergy, your immune system overreacts to wheat proteins, causing symptoms that range from mild to severe. Unlike celiac disease and non-celiac gluten sensitivity, wheat allergy can be tested for through skin prick or blood tests. And it's not just gluten that's the issue, it's all wheat proteins. So if you've got a wheat allergy, you need to steer clear of wheat entirely. But don't worry, there are plenty of other grains to keep your diet exciting, like rice, quinoa, and corn. Plus, you get to carry an EpiPen, which is basically a cool accessory. But how did the gluten-free diet become so popular? Ever notice how gluten-free is popping up everywhere, from supermarket shelves to trendy cafe menus? It's not just for those with celiac disease or gluten intolerance anymore. Nope, the gluten-free bandwagon has hit the mainstream, fueled by celebrity endorsements, best-selling books, and those oh-so-convincing anecdotal reports from your friend's cousin's yoga instructor. People are ditching gluten left and right, hoping to shed pounds, boost digestion, and have a higher immune system. But here's the twist. For those without gluten-related disorders, the supposed magical benefits of a gluten-free diet aren't exactly backed by science. You might as well believe in unicorns. Often, the perceived perks are more about the placebo effect or other dietary tweaks that happen when you cut out gluten, like waving goodbye to those sneaky processed foods. Think about it. You're saying no to the usual suspects, cookies, cakes, and all things carb-loaded. Of course, you might feel better. It's like swapping your nightly ice cream binge for a green smoothie. It's not the lack of gluten, it's the lack of junk. So if you're jumping on the gluten-free train, make sure it's for the right reasons. If it makes you feel good, go for it. Just remember, it's probably not the gluten ghost making the difference, but the healthier choices you're making along the way. Is gluten toxic? Gluten is not exactly that toxic monster that causes chaos in your stomach. Unless you have celiac disease, sensitivity, or a wheat allergy, gluten isn't out to get you. In fact, it's hanging out in some pretty nutritious foods packed with fiber, vitamins, and minerals, trying to do good things for your body. So let's debunk some myths that might scare people away from gluten. Myth 1. Gluten causes weight gain. Let's get one thing straight. Gluten isn't the sneaky gremlin in your bread, making your jeans tighter. Weight gain is usually the result of overall calorie intake and a bit too much couch time. Blaming gluten is like blaming your fork for making you eat cake. It's just not fair, and gluten deserves better. Myth 2. Gluten causes inflammation. Unless you have celiac disease, gluten isn't hiding in your pantry ready to start a firestorm of inflammation. The idea that gluten causes widespread inflammation in everyone is more fiction than fact. For the average person, gluten isn't a secret saboteur, but just another part of a balanced diet. Myth 3. Everyone should avoid gluten for better health. Saying everyone should avoid gluten for better health is like saying everyone should avoid sunshine to prevent sunburn. It's an over-the-top approach that doesn't make sense for most people. There's no scientific reason for the general population to ditch gluten unless they have a specific health condition that requires it. So unless gluten has given you a personal reason to banish it, there's no need to send it packing. Now let's clear the air about gluten. Contrary to popular belief, gluten isn't the villain lurking in your breadbasket. For most people, it's just another protein in their diet, like the trusty sidekick who never gets the spotlight. Sure, it can cause trouble for some people, but think of them as the unlucky few who can't handle gluten's party tricks. But for the rest of us, gluten is harmless and can be part of a balanced diet. So unless you've got a medical reason to dodge gluten, there's no need to fear it. Let's make informed dietary choices based on our individual health needs, not on the latest food trend. After all, life's too short to miss out on a good slice of pizza. Thanks for watching and stay healthy.